There we go.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association meeting for October the 10th, 2023. This meeting will be running under Robert's Rules of Order. If you have a question, please use the raised hand feature under the reactions button. For voting matters, you must be a resident of the neighborhood or have a business located in the neighborhood. You must be of 18 years of age or older, and you must have attended at least 3 meetings in the past 12 calendar months. So first, Connor, can you put up the September agenda?
Well, made a lot of notes here.
Perfect. Are there any objections to the September 11th, 2023 agenda and meeting minutes? Okay, as I see no objections, no raised hands, we will approve the September 11th agenda via unanimous consent. Let's go ahead and pull up the October agenda. Okay, are there any objections or changes other than what we have for the letter of support for the Friends of Chosewood Park playground improvements? Any objections to the agenda for this evening? Please use the raised hand feature.
And I'm going to save this as a PDF real quick so I can edit the other one.
Okay. All right, seeing no objections, we will approve this agenda for tonight's meeting via unanimous consent. We will go ahead and progress to our public safety officer, which I don't see. Let me look through the participants. We do not have a public safety officer here tonight. I have reached out to Major Richard to see if we can start getting someone here on a regular basis to give us at least a report for Chosewood Park. But if you would like to have a in-depth public safety officer report, I would encourage you to go to the meeting on Monday next week for NPUY. They always have a very in-depth report for public safety with the public safety officers from APD, along with the Atlanta Fire Department as well. Okay, moving on. Do we have any elected officials on the call this evening? If we do, please put your information on the chat. I do not see Michael, Councilmember Winston. So I believe we do not have any elected officials on the call this evening. So I will move on to the treasurer report. I know that Christina is not here tonight. She had prior engagements based on, just so everyone knows, we yesterday, Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day was the reason that we moved our meeting to tonight. So Christina is out. I can take the lead on this one, I guess. I don't believe that there has been any transactions this month. As we can see here, we have one, the 2,000, that was for the retainer for the lawyer regarding 556 and 514 McDonough. But other than that, I do not believe we do have dividends, 2876. So are there any questions for the treasurer? Hopefully I can answer them if there are. If there are any questions, please use the raised hand feature and raise your hand now. All right. Seeing no questions, we will move on to our committee reports. First off, we have the Friends of Chosewood Park. I see Lane on here tonight. Lane, or I guess is Taryn not here, but Lane, you have the floor.
This is me, Jacob. So in terms of updates, the upcoming events that we have on October 21st, that's our Q4 public meeting. Would love to see others there to provide your input. We typically start to advertise that a little bit before, so you should be seeing something from us soon on the Facebook page. And then on Sunday, November 19th from 2 to 4 p.m., that's our work day. So if you'd like to come help beautify our park, definitely a great opportunity to do that and meet some of your neighbors. And then outside of that, Jacob, I think it's just our work with the playground. We've gotten a letter of support from Jason Winston already. This week, we will be presenting to the Department of Parks. And then next week, we'll be trying to go to NPUY for our letter of support. So tonight, we just love to get a vote on whether or not the neighborhood association would like to provide us with a letter of support for all of the work and improvements that we've been working with the city and others to get together for our neighborhood playground.
Yeah, and I know Lane, it's a lot to probably go through, but if you could just give a little bit of information regarding what you guys are doing. I know you have been giving us multiple updates over the past 6 months actually regarding this, but just so the people that are on the call this evening have a little bit of idea on what exactly they'd be voting for.
Yeah, so over the past couple of months, we've worked with various work groups and representation from the neighborhood to figure out what it is that the community would like to see happen to our playground structure. I know that there have been some concerns from others, just that, that playground structure is older, will need to be refurbished or repaired, and we're worried a little bit about the safety of the children who are playing on that playground. So we've been working with a couple of different vendors and have picked a design to move forward with in terms of replacing the entire playground structure, but also expanding the playground area. Right now, we would like to get letters of support as we're trying to get a grant. There's a grant out there that's at least $150,000 up to $250,000 that would really help us with the expansion and improvements of the playground. I don't have all the materials in front of us in terms of what we ended up deciding on, but rest assured, we did have multiple different sessions with others and got as much neighborhood support and input as we could.
I know you guys have for a lot of feedback and doing a lot of work with multiple different departments and a lot of people in the neighborhood. So essentially what we'd be looking for is a letter of support to help you guys out as far as the grant goes, matching funds. Is that what it is?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there any questions for the Friends of Chosewood Park this evening for the benefit of the body?
Chosewood Stock Fest, the Porch Fest thing, is that happening before? That's happening before our next meeting, right? This next month's CPNA. Can we chat about that for a second?
What is it again, Connor?
The Chosewood Stock Porch Fest thing that I think we're doing, right? That Friends of Chosewood's doing.
Is it Chose Woodstock? That's this. When is that?
I thought it was November, whatever that Sunday is, the 7th.
Yeah, listen. Tell me about the festival for the neighborhood. If that's part of this tonight, let's hear about Chose Woodstock.
That is on November 5th. I think it's the 4th and the 5th. At this point, it's a pretty small gathering. I believe there's already a Facebook group. If not, I'll make sure that there is one. But various neighbors have volunteered to allow local bands to play on their property. So this will just be a very casual walk around the neighborhood and listen to some bands play at your neighbor's yard.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. And just so you know, I love the name. I love the name. No, Paul, we have not voted to support the playground yet. That'll be under the voting matters. Okay, are there any other questions for Friends of Chosewood Park? Any other comments or questions at all?
Yes, I've got something. I saw, in passing a softball player asking about putting a fence up. And, my institutional memory here is coming out because we actually paid for the city to remove the, fence that was there so that the field could be more multi-purpose. And that was done about, Paul, you remember 15, 16 years ago?
Yes, I remember there was a fence there one time. I mean, my position on that is if those guys want to pay for a fence, we'll work with the city to help them put it up. But unless they got the money, they don't need to worry about.
Yeah, I think the concern was more that it precluded football, soccer from being played on the field, because it kind of, shortened the length of the field. That's why it was taken away.
Yeah, well, whatever, you know, it was taken away for whatever reason. If people want to put it back, all they got to do is give us some money and get it for the community.
Easy. I do think that we should have a conversation. Friends of Chosewood Park. I mean, you know, I do see a division as far as the field goes. Is something that it would hamper the ability for different types of sports. It's specific to baseball, but I think that would be Simon, something that we could that maybe you could reach out to Taryn regarding.
Sure, you're quite right. Yeah.
You know, maybe work on both levels where it's maybe not a permanent fence, maybe a temporary type fence that can be set out for whatever type of events are out there. Because a permanent fence with posts and things like that and concrete could hamper the ability for the space to be used for other you know, types of events. But if you want to take that chat offline and maybe have a conversation and then come back to
Feel
it.
free to email us. You can email us at friendsofchosewoodpark@gmail.com. Also, we're having our public meeting, so if you email us that before then, Simon, we'll make sure that gets put on the agenda for discussion.
Very good. Thank you, Len.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon. Are there any other questions for the Friends of Chosewood Park Committee? Okay, seeing no other.
Jacob, I have my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on what Simon was saying was I did ask Patrick Hand, who was helping us with our design process for our park improvements and our trail system. And we did kind of discuss about having a fence that is just along the tree line and what the cost of that would be. So we will try to get an estimate built on that, but not to separate the fields in a sense, only along that tree line in the back.
And I'm assuming that's a separation between where balls and other things could get into the tree line.
Yeah, correct. Just so that way, anything that, you know, would get in towards the back, if there were balls or, you know, kids' toys or something like that, that were hit back there, that they wouldn't go into the woods and down that steep hill that's right behind it.
So, okay. Are there any other questions or comments for the Friends of Chosewood Park Committee? Seeing none, we will move on. And Madam Vice Chair, I do see that you had mentioned, do we have an APD officer on the call this evening?
And both are responsible for the killing of civilians and the kidnapping.
He is trying to get on, but he's having an issue with the screen saying that it's buffering. So I'm not sure if it's our end or his end, but he is trying to work on it. I spoke with Captain Pettis yesterday, and so he's trying to make sure that we have a sergeant on our calls from now on.
All right, great, thank you. I will chime back in with him if I see him show up in the participant list. In the meantime, we will go ahead and move forward with the Chosewood Park Community Development Committee, CPCDC. Paul McMurray or Nicole, you guys have the floor.
Well, I think mainly because Nicole has been busy with MPU stuff a lot. I actually have been involved with the MPU. We haven't had our fourth quarter meeting. but it should be at the end of this quarter. Our main issue is to close out the Lakewood grant. So I guess we won't be able to apply for another one until the first quarter of next year. Let's have Nicole speak up on this.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, we have not had much participation when it comes to closing out some of our other grants. So we have not worked towards opening any new ones. So this winter, we will be finalizing the closeout of our LACFC grant. So that way we can reopen a new grant next year in the first quarter. We also have our grant that we're working on in the park for our our trail connectivity and bridge installation and entrance at Galt Street. So we will be working to open our RFP process, and that way we can start advertising to get our vendors to apply and contractors to apply.
We have no other choice but to win this war and to dismantle.
And that is it.
How are we going to do that? What are the operational?
Okay, guys, appreciate all of your comments. Are there any questions for the CPCDC?
IDF, we need that to the IDF, which I have full confidence in. It's the best army on earth, and it will destroy.
Okay, seeing no questions or comments, we will move on. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Nicole, for the update. Next up on our agenda is voting matters. Our only voting matter for this evening is the letter of support for the Friends of Chosewood Park playground improvements. Would someone like to make a motion, as Wayne had already kind of gone through this a little bit, and I know we've spoke about this in depth in previous meetings. I can go ahead and
I'll motion to approve the letter of support for a Park Pride grant.
I'll second that.
okay, seconded, but we'll give that one to you, Paul. Seconded by Paul. So the motion on the floor, Connor, if you can put this in a poll. The motion on the floor is for a letter of support for the Friends of Chosewood Park to approve for a letter of support to approve for grant funding.
Okay, let me make sure I get I'm gonna put the wording in the chat, and then you guys can edit it real quick before I make the poll. How are we wording it
Basic,
again?
it's for approval for a letter of support for Friends of Chosewood Park for playground improvement. Just keep it simple.
Perfect.
And as long as by seconded, which is Paul is okay with the alterations to.
Okay, sorry, I would have had this ready before. Let's see.
We can probably just raise hands on this one if you guys want, since there's only 7.
Now I've already put the work in, so I want to do it.
Okay.
Where to go though? Oh shoot. Oh, it's untitled. Here we are. All right. Let me know if you guys see that.
Jacob, you're muted.
I do see one in the chat. Suzanne is with Bob. She voted for the letter of support.
And yes, if you do have a +1 like Suzanne and Bob did, and Chris and Laura, put it in the chat. Looks like we're all pretty much in unison tonight.
I have one more in the chat, Pamela Heenan. Another one in the chat for
Ariel Jeff.
Yep. We have Hadley and also a yes from Matt Abernathy.
Great. Let's see those. Are we good to end the poll officially, or do you want to give it another second?
Let's go ahead and end the poll. We've had it open for about 30 seconds.
Perfect.
Unanimous consent. We don't have
Thank
to.
you, everyone.
All right. So the motion carries with 100%. I did see that Captain Pettis is on the phone. I will go ahead and allow our public safety officer to give his report at this time. Good evening, Captain Pettis.
I'm actually Sergeant Brooks. I'm standing in for Captain Pettis tonight.
Good evening, Sergeant Brooks. Thank you for coming this evening.
Oh, no problem. We had a little bit of a hiccup trying to get in, but we finally figured it out.
Well, welcome. The floor is yours for a public safety officer report.
All right. So let me give you some numbers of the last month. So September 23, and we're not going to talk about October because we'll save that for next month. But September 2023 numbers, as far as Part 1 crimes, which those are, the serious crimes, murder, rape, robbery, larcenies, burglaries, things of that nature. We were up 1 last month over August. And the Chosewood Park area had a, theft from vehicle at 1155 Hill Street, another theft from vehicle at 360 Inglewood, another theft from vehicle at 1099 Boulevard, and a stolen vehicle at 125 Milton Avenue. So those were all the Part 1 crimes. Oh, and then there was an aggravated assault that occurred at 1099 Boulevard between 2 neighbors, which resulted in a firearm being pointed at the victim. And then I don't have any updates on that particular case at this time. So 5 total Part 1 crimes, as opposed to last month we were at 4. Not a huge increase, so that's a good thing in that regard. As far as enforcement in the Chosewood Park area, Zone 3 units conducted 122 traffic stops total in the area, issuing 40 actual traffic citations. Total arrests for September in the Chosewood Park area were 46. Those include 1 that was auto theft, 23 traffic related arrests, 17 other lesser crimes. Those are the criminal trespasses, things like that. 3 illegal narcotics and 2 arrest warrants. We did get 5 stolen vehicles recovered in the area. Recovered 3 firearms, one of which was stolen. And just some notes for you guys to take home with you tonight. We are partnering with GSP regularly on traffic details in the area to help reduce and deter the crime, and that's really helping out immensely. Our crime suppression unit has been operating very heavily in Yells area around the Sawtell, McDonough Boulevard, and our auto crimes, basically the auto theft unit and the gang unit's been over there in the area as well. So that's what I update.
Thank you so much, Sergeant. I do see I have one hand raised here for a question. Sure. Paul McMurray, you have the floor.
Yes, especially since you were talking about auto theft and traffic related issues.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you've been to any meetings, but we've constantly been complaining about 386 McDonough Boulevard. It's a sort of a storefront that the stores in it are now closed, but you have all these people working on cars on Eric Street near the intersection of McDonough and Eric Street, and it's near a no parking sign, and they're all working on cars on a public street. And okay. Although they may tell you they live in that building over there, they don't. They're all liars.
All right. So let me address that real quick. So you're not allowed to actually work on a car. I mean, other than changing a tire that's flat or something. If you've got people out there changing brakes or, gosh, I don't know, changing their oil and all that, yeah, that's definitely a violation. And if you just call 911, officer comes out there, they will be cited because that is against the code.
Right, but why can they continuously park out there and hang out?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There, that we need to get some enforcement going out there. And if you call 911 when that's happening, you know,
Well, it's happening.
don't ever, and that's I always tell people, don't ever go out there and address it yourself. Let us get out there. Like, don't go out there and be like, hey, I'm calling the police, because then they're going to pack.
I called them many times, but it seems there's no difference going on. You know, there's no real action ever taken.
Paul, are you calling 911 or are you
I'm
calling?
calling 911, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I did it a lot a couple of months ago. Last couple of months, I just look at it and say, I don't know. I call the police, nothing happens. The same people are there. They've been there for 5 years.
Okay, so it's an ongoing issue that is, I guess it sounds like you've addressed it with 911 maybe a few months ago, but in the last couple months, I'm new to Zone 3, so you gotta. I'm going to actually personally go out there and see what's going on out there and come up with a plan for you on that one.
Yeah, but they're not only doing that. I believe they're selling something like crack right next to the chicken shack. They used to sell it out of the chicken shack. That's also going on. So you have a repetitive set of cars coming in. Someone pops out of the car. They go over to the door, and then they get back in the car and they leave. Okay, this is symptomatic of crack sales and what I know of it. Not that I know much about it. That, and also you mentioned we have a big problem: 5 stolen cars in 1 month. What do you
Those
think?
are well, hang on. Those are recovered stolen cars. Those are cars that were actually recovered that were stolen elsewhere. Because there was only one actually stolen from Chosewood Park area. It was 5 recovered, so they came from other areas, and they basically dropped there.
Do you ever find them in the vicinity of 386 McDonough Boulevard?
I'd have to go back in and look at that. I
Well,
don't.
I would look at that because they're working on cars, and for all you know, there are stolen cars sitting there right now that they're working on.
Thank you for the questions, Paul. And Sergeant, we appreciate you looking into this. He's personally going to go out there and take a look at it. And Sergeant, if you want to put your information in the chat, that would be great, so that you know the residents are able to contact you directly.
Sure, I'll put my email address in here. That's the best way to do it. I'm new to this whole Zoom thing, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best to get on here and put this in.
All right, perfect. Are there any other questions for the public safety officer this evening?
Well, you must be used to it. Oh. I'm just messing.
Okay. Thank you so much for your. We greatly appreciate you showing up. This is the first time we've had a public safety officer show up for us in time. So Carolyn Bush was our go-to for, and she's no longer a resident in the neighborhood. So it's nice to have another APD face show up for us.
Definitely, and I'm glad I was able to figure this out and get on here with y'all tonight. I do apologize for being so late to the party, but I'm gonna get this figured out. All right, I'm posting my information with my email address. Any issues you guys have, just please by all means reach out.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Brooks.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. Bye.
Let's move on to our next order of business here. We have old business. We have updates for 514 and 556 McDonough. Both of these SAPs were approved by the city of Atlanta. We did hire legal counsel to help us look through this and see if they had violated the municipal code. And what the attorney has come back with is very minimal stuff. They were missing a few trees per their site plan. They were missing the correct setback on Park Avenue, and they were also missing bike parking spaces. So other than that, there wasn't much that we could do as far as the appeal process goes. But we are trying to further this conversation with Jason Winston and Kieta Holmes regarding how we can work with this particular developer to help us with the setbacks, possibly exterior fenestrations, and a few of the issues that we have from what this particular development is going to have an impact on for McDonough Boulevard and for also Boulevard, where that intersection is. Are there any questions regarding 514 and 556 before we move on to the next item? Okay, seeing no questions, we will move on to the old business for 510 Sawtell. Everyone, 510 Sawtell is the old General Motors plant that is on McDonough Boulevard. If you've driven by there recently, you would be able to notice that they have started to remove some of the old buildings that were on the site. We would like to, either I or maybe Vice Chair Nicole, maybe Connor, one of us will put this onto our Facebook page as far as the SAP goes, so that everyone can start to take a look at this and see what they are currently proposing. Right now, we're looking from what they sent us from phase one. We are looking at 704 units. Thank you, Nicole. It's already up on the Facebook page. I'm not sure if it's on our web page, but we could add it to there as well. But we are looking at 740 plus units for attached townhouses, 48,000 square feet of retail space. Currently, they have not proposed anything regarding the maybe possible DOT projects or expansion for McDonough to help us alleviate some of the thoroughfare traffic and to help with the complex itself. They are proposing 2,400 plus and some change parking spaces at this location for phase one. So this is a large development. This is going to have a big impact on us. I haven't gotten any information regarding when they plan on starting anything other than the demo process right now, but I will keep everyone updated. We did post up a video of a flyover, and we will also post up another one so that people can see what's actually kind of occurring on the site. It's nice to have a little bit of a bird's eye view as compared to just a drive-by view. This is the SAP BL 23145. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for putting that in there. The Google Drive is in the meeting chat if anybody wants to take a look at that. Are there any questions regarding 510 Sawtell? Okay, seeing no questions, we will move on to our new business. New business is Atlanta Housing has started. Atlanta Housing has started to remove the trees. They've began their land disturbance permit on the site running on Inglewood. So they will be continuing with the tree removal. I believe this is only phase one. They have currently removed around 600 trees from this site. So if you guys in the neighborhood are seeing any kind of wildlife displacement, this might be a part of where that's coming from. So if you have an opportunity to put up bird houses, who knows, whatever, just be aware of the loss of the trees on Inglewood. And that's going to be something that's going to be ongoing probably until late January, February, as far as the tree removal goes. And then they will start doing their infrastructure on this particular site. This is probably something that this particular site will more than likely be during construction for at least 24 to 36 months. So just a heads up. Are there any questions for the Atlanta Housing new business, the I guess we can call it Inglewood South project?
I had a quick question, Jacob, just out of curiosity, if you would know if the back of the park, the north side of the park would be connected to, I don't know if that's the housing, Atlanta Housing, or if that's Empire, but are there any plans to connect those two with the path, from the park down
Yes.
below?
Yes, there are. There are plans for the Galt Street entrance, which would be a bridge, or not a bridge, staircase that comes down towards where the senior facility would be. And they also plan on having an extension that runs from, I believe that's Dalton, that runs into the park from that backside. And they might possibly have another location as well, but they do plan on having direct access. They also paid attention and listened to the neighborhood, and they are keeping a larger tree buffer zone between the park and between their particular site. So that's a good thing. Thank you for that question, Connor. Next up, we have Bob. Bob Moore.
Yeah, hi, it's Suzanne. We're both sharing the same phone here. Piggybacking on that tree issue, is it possible to ask Atlanta Housing to replant some trees between Empire and their site? Because it looks really bare. That would help if they could at least replant some trees on the border.
Yes, they do have quite a few trees. I don't know the exact number, Suzanne.
That they are going to plant or that they left?
They're going to plant.
Okay.
That particular location that's closest to the Empire site is going to be specifically used for the retention pond, which will take stormwater from our perennial stream, the Sawtell site, the Toll Brothers site, and the Empire site. It's a culmination of that particular location. So there will be a large retention pond, kind of like what you would see at Atlantic Station. Things similar.
Yeah. But they're going to put trees around that?
Yes, correct. They do.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number, but I would be willing to bet, Suzanne, it's probably somewhere in the hundreds of trees, maybe
Good.
even more. So
Good. Good. Okay, great. Just wondering. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, looks like Paul, you have your hand raised. Go ahead. Paul McMurray, you have the floor.
I went and looked at it Sunday and took some pictures, and I saw a large number of trees still up. Now, are they going to stay up, or are they this is just phase one and they're just going to clear cut everything?
Well, so this is just phase one, and they do plan on trying to save some of the old growth trees as they can. I will give them credit compared to the other sites that came in and just cut everything. And then we had to deal with the erosion issues and stormwater issues that came from it. They do plan on leaving certain pockets of trees so that during the process, which, like I said, this could be a 3-year process. So to completely clear cut the entire site at one time would be a big deal for us. But they are leaving some pockets of trees. And I know that a lot of the trees they're going to try to save that run down the Climax Street and then down through the Dalton Street entrances into the park or into their site. So I can't speak specifically on how much of those tree preservation areas that they have set up that they're going to keep, but I do know that they plan on keeping some of the old growth trees.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just wanted to, answer the question about them putting trees back. They're required to put trees back. Okay.
They are required. I haven't seen the full site plan yet, so I can't specifically speak to exactly how many trees they plan on putting back, but I know that it's in the hundreds, and it might be closer to 500 somewhere in there, because it's quite a bit of trees and quite a bit of space that they have. They're planning on planting trees all down Inglewood, all down all of the new streets that they have, the street extensions running down, and then also they do have a few green space locations, and that would be where some of the tree preservation would be going on, along with new tree planting.
Yeah, but they're required to do it. They're required to have a tree plan. if they cut the trees down, they gotta have a plan to put a certain percentage back. And that's by ordinance. That's not by, them being nice to us. Okay.
They have, so just so you know, Paul, they have, and for everyone else, originally they had set this site to be a private site, which would allow them to not pay a tree recompense. They ended up, through their lawyers and their litigation they worked out, they did put it to a public space. So by doing that, they did end up paying tree recompense, which they had not planned on doing. So that's a good thing. They actually paid tree recompense for every tree that was not a disease, dying, and hazard DDH style trees. So that is a positive thing where that money goes back to Trees Atlanta and will help us with more tree planting throughout the neighborhood. All right, thank you, Paul. Simon, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question. It's not quite clear to me whether the Gulf Street kind of extension goes into Empire or into AHA. Can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, so the Galt Street entrance is going to be an entrance into Atlanta Housing. And Atlanta Housing plans on adding the pedestrian pathways as a connection point from that Galt Street entrance, which would be some type of stairs. I'm not 100% sure if they plan on adding in a handicap accessible type ramp just based on the elevations and topography, but that is going to be a thoroughfare as a connection point to get to the Boulevard Crossing Park and also to the Beltline.
But to clarify, it is pedestrian rather than vehicular.
Yeah, no, of course. Yes, it is pedestrian. It is not vehicular.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, next up we have Ariel.
Hi there. I'm just wanting to know, did I hear you say senior living, that this Atlanta housing is going to be senior living?
So they have there is one building that will be a senior living housing location. I don't know exactly how many units. I can't speak off the top of my head here, but they do have one location. This particular site includes senior housing facility, market rate apartments, affordable housing. So far, I believe we have 25,000 square feet of retail space, and there is also attached townhouses and detached single family that will run along the corridors of Dalton and Nolan. Or
Okay.
Dalton Climax, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for the questions, guys. Are there any other questions or any other comments regarding the Atlanta housing site? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. We will move on to our next agenda item, which is the new business for 1211 McDonald. This is an SAP. Let me pull this up real quick. This is an SAP that's come before us prior, I believe it was last year. They had asked for a letter of support regarding an Invest Atlanta funding. The neighborhood did deny this based on a few different things. They have made changes to this particular site. This was brought up in the MPU zoning committee meeting for last month in September. The pushback at the zoning committee meeting was the intersection. This is directly across from the Lakewood and Milton intersection where they come together. So the consensus of that particular meeting from the participants was that this would be a denial as far as if they did come to us asking for a letter of support until they were able to move the buildings back off the setback to allow for proper DOT, or this is actually an Atlanta DOT project, not GDOT, to allow for maybe some type of improvements, possibly a roundabout, but something different than what we have currently at the intersection of Lakewood, where we have a lot of illegal turns, very dangerous intersection for pedestrians and for vehicular traffic. This SAP is going before the special administration permit hearing. The date is set for December. I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. The meeting is set for October the 25th at 12 p.m. It is in the council chamber on the second floor in City Hall at 55 Trinity Avenue. I will be there speaking in opposition for this. If anybody else would like to join me, please feel free to. If anybody has any comments or questions, please use the raised hand feature and you will be called on. Okay, seeing no questions, we will move on to our closing statements and announcements, community concerns and questions. Would anybody like to have the floor to make any announcements for Chosewood Park this month? Any questions, anything like that? I will throw this out there as a reminder, the officer elections are in December. If you know anyone that would like to be, a part of the neighborhood association, the Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association, we will be taking names and information for anybody that would. We have 4 positions. We have the president role, we have the vice chair role, the secretary role, and the treasurer role. Okay. Well, guys, this has been a very quick meeting. Connor, this might be our fastest. We are at 7:52 p.m. And I would like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Well done.
Simon, go ahead.
Just saying, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I will motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have any objections to adjourn the meeting? Okay. Seeing no objections, this meeting for the CPNA October 10th, 2023 meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.